Hi, everybody. How are you? My name is Arkady Frekhtman. I'm an attorney, a personal injury trial lawyer here in Brooklyn, New York. I'm at the Brooklyn office today, and I wanted to talk about how a client, such as yourself, goes about hiring an attorney if you need one. The first step is filling out a questionnaire, and this is an example of a questionnaire for our firm, Frekhtman Associates. And basically, we want to know who filled out the questionnaire, the date. Sometimes the client does it themselves. Sometimes we could do it by Zoom or by Skype through video conferencing and use a DocuSign or a digital signature. Other times, the client will come into our office and we'll sit down and we'll talk face to face and we'll fill it out with them. That's always, the best way. And other times, if a client is very knowledgeable, they'll want to fill it out themselves, either type it up at home or use a pen. And then if we have any questions, we'll call them and we could always put our comments, add in our comments to the form. So basically, it's straightforward. It's just name, email address, contact information is very important to have, cell phone and friends and family in case your phone changes and then your lawyer doesn't have your phone number. You want to give them as much contact as possible because oftentimes a lawyer might have money for you and then he can't find you and then he has to go get a private investigator to find his own client. That's happened, especially in mass torts with the dangerous drug cases. That happens very often. Then you have date of birth, social security number, which is kept private. And then you get into occupation, job title, employer, and address. Now, this is very, very important for two reasons. Number one, if a client missed time from work, he or she is entitled to their lost salary, their lost wages. Let's say they missed a month and they make $5,000 a month. Well, we're going to get them that $5,000. That's economic damages, those lost wages, giving that back to them. But number two, let's say they missed a month and their employer paid them. So they didn't lose any money and they don't want any money. I still want to know that they missed a month. Why? Because I have to prove they were seriously injured, especially in New York. In car crash cases, we have what's known as a threshold. We have to get over a certain barrier to show that there was a serious injury. Otherwise, you can't recover anything. So I want to show that they were so hurt that they missed a month, a significant period of time from work. They were going to doctors, staying home because they were too injured to work. So that's another reason why you'd want to go into lost wages, their salary, and it gets into all the nitty gritty, like how much per year, per month, per week. You want copies of W-2s, pay stubs, 1099s if they're independent contractors. And then you get into a little bit about them, their family, whether they have a loss of services claim. That would be a wife or a husband would have a loss of services claim if their spouse was injured. Any prior incidents, that's very important because the insurance companies are going to get that, and then they're going to usually argue that whatever injury you have is because of the prior incident, of course, not because of the one you're suing for. So you want to do a deep dive and get all that information ahead of time so you can plan the case and prepare it properly. And then, of course, you go into the accident information itself, the facts, what happened, who was at fault, what did the defendant do wrong, and you want to be specific. And you want to identify the defendants, the people that you're going to sue, the date of incident, the time, any witnesses to the incident. And then the other thing we really get into is this idea of before and after witnesses or community witnesses. And that would be neighbors, coworkers, friends, people who could talk about the individual who was hurt before the incident, and then could also talk about that person after the incident. And the reason that's important is because you are therefore painting a picture of what happened to this particular client and how their life has changed because of this event, right? This trauma, whether it's a slip and fall, a construction accident, a car crash. You want to be able to show that they were a vibrant person, going to work, very smart, lots of friends. And then after the incident, things have changed. They can no longer work. Perhaps they're more isolated, more depressed. They've had other problems. And you do that through coworkers, neighbors, friends, and you really have to do a deep dive. Like we like to go to our clients' houses and sit down with them and really talk to them. During Corona, we've been doing it over Zoom and Skype to really get to know them. And we also like to take a lot of photos, before and after photos. A lot of them come from the iPhone. Everyone's using the iPhone now or any kind of cell phone. And that's important because anything the client can show how their life was before and how their life is after to show what's going on. And we give some examples here, like iPhone pics, diaries, even Facebook. Facebook could actually be used as a positive. I know a lot of lawyers and a lot of clients are afraid of Facebook. Oh no, don't post anything on Facebook because they're going to see me like, dancing at a party and I'm saying I can't dance. Sure, I mean, obviously you don't want to do that. That's going to hurt your case. But if you could show on Facebook that you were, for example, climbing a mountain or going vacationing and surfing, and now after the accident, you're not, right? After the accident, because it was a serious accident, you're sitting at home and you gained weight and your Facebook is pretty much empty. And that life that you lived before, whether on Facebook or Instagram, was so vibrant, so exciting. And now it's just you're not even half the person you were before. That's actually going to help your case because that's going to prove to a jury that they should allow for a significant amount of compensation because your life has truly changed. So it's what we call telling the human story. And in New York, you're entitled for compensation for loss of enjoyment of life. And that's what we kind of want to get from our clients. So in the initial interview, we ask questions like, what is your passion? Because everyone has a different passion, right? What do you love? Who do you love? Is it your kids? Is it your boyfriend, your girlfriend? Is it your wife? Is it somebody else? Some people love their dog. They're maybe just love their pet. Some people might not love necessarily anyone, right? They might not love a person, but they might love something. They might love a sport. They might love to go fishing. They might love to read a book. How has this incident affected you? Everyone is different, right? So it's very, very important to get into this and to be able to tell their human story. And then, of course, we have to go through the medical information, the injuries, the complaints and the symptoms, the diagnosis and findings. Usually, if somebody hires a lawyer right after an incident, they're not going to have too much medical diagnosis yet because the crash just happened, right? But sometimes people will change lawyers or they will hire a lawyer even a year after an incident, and then they already have medical records and they already have doctors and they have a diagnosis. So that's very helpful as well, whether they have any pre-existing conditions. And then you get into that day, right? Whether it's a slip and fall or a car crash, the trauma, whether you took an ambulance to the hospital, whether you, all the medical providers you saw, the hospital with the date of admissions. Now people are going to urgent care as well. And then your physical therapy office and all your diagnostic testing, like your MRIs, your x-rays, CAT scans. And so we have a list of that. And then we get the insurance information, no fault being the car that you're sitting in, the defendant's car, and then the property damage. We like to get photos of the damage to the car and know how much it costs to repair the car. Was it a $500 dent, or was it a $5,000 major crash with the entire bumper torn off, or perhaps a total loss? And then we get into some of the other stuff like collateral source. That's who's going to pay your health insurance, who's going to pay for your medical treatment. If it's a car crash, it'll be no fault. But if you're hurt at work, it'll be workers' comp. If it's nothing, if you just fell somewhere and you were not working, then it might be your collateral source provider would be your health insurance, United Healthcare, whatever health insurance you have, Blue Cross Blue Shield. And so we get into the length of time that you were stuck in your bed, in your house, in a hospital after the incident, also to show how the incident affected you. And this is important because it's usually what the defendants ask for in a bill of particulars, which is done after the defendants appear in the lawsuit. So we need that information. And then, whether you had out-of-pocket expenses, whether you need an interpreter, photos of the incident. We like to ask if a client had criminal convictions because it's better for us to know about it. Certain criminal convictions might come into evidence, certain crimes, if you're accused of a crime but not convicted, or if it's something minor, may never be admitted into evidence. So it's important to get ahead of that and also find out as much as possible because, we're the counselor, right? We're the lawyer representing the client. So we have to do everything all at once and know as much as possible about them in order to effectively represent them. If I don't know if my client has a criminal conviction, how can I effectively represent them? If I'm surprised at trial, that's not effective representation, no way. And then, we give our clients options for their case. How do they want to be contacted? Do they want to be contacted by email, by phone? Do they prefer in-person appointments? How often do they want to be contacted? Once a month, once every 3 months? Do they want an update like every 2 weeks? Some people like to have their hand held, right? And they want to be in touch with their lawyer back and forth through chats or through emails or texting. Other people are more like, let my lawyer handle it. If I have a question, I'll call or contact me once every 3 months, give me an update, because they know the lawsuits take time. It's a slow process. And then when do you prefer to be contacted? In the morning, in the afternoon? It's just more like a menu for the client. And then we get into the social media and we give them that warning about not posting anything publicly, and give them a warning about surveillance, because if it is a serious case, the insurance company could hire someone to follow the client and to do surveillance, to record them. So if a client, for example, will say, I can't lift anything heavy, and then they have them going, let's say, to Costco and lifting those 5-gallon jugs of water and putting them in their car, that's going to be surveillance. That's going to hurt the case. So we warn them about that. So that's basically it. That's basically the initial questionnaire. And I just want you to know it doesn't stop at that. There's more that we still have to communicate. We still have to go to your house and you have to come to see us, and we still work together. But this is the initial questionnaire to get the case started. I hope that's been helpful. Drop us a comment. Let us know if you have any questions. We're here for you. Thank you so much and have a great day. Bye-bye.